This next article's like really historically grounded and really kind of convoluted with all because it's a few pages and they bring in all sorts of different stuff. So it's Article 21 of the Apology to the Augsburg Confession, and it's concerning. It's the Invocation of the Saints is the topic that they're talking about, and it brings in a whole lot of things that the Catholic Church at the time was doing. That weren't really faithful and that were more about power than they were about, or more about power and money than they were about the things the church should be worried about, right? So they go on and on about it, but kind of how does it apply to us today? Why do you care about the Lutheran Church's Invocation of the Saints? I mean, the if you are from our faith background and you're listening to this, the primary thing is you get to pray directly to God. You don't have to pray to someone who was holier than you in hopes that they can then bring your prayer before God. Christ promises that he is in the presence of God and that he intercedes on our behalf. So when we pray, God promises to hear us for Jesus' sake. So kind of going off of that a little bit, I want to tackle prayer just a little bit. I want to talk about prayer, and that is, I haven't seen any research on this. I don't know that there's any research on this, but I would suspect that prayer is up there in like right alongside public speaking on things that people are uncomfortable with doing and engaging in. And I think part of it's because we've gotten really used to people praying like for us, right? I don't pray. We pay the pastor to pray. And somewhere along the line, I think in some churches and maybe for some pastors, there's this thing of like, my prayer better sound really good because like it's my job to pray. Right? So they use the these and the thous, and they use really like beautiful, poetic almost language in their prayers. And like I'll admit, I think I do this sometimes where I pray and it's more eloquent than what I normally talk like, right? It's not this kind of conversational tone. It's more it's elevated language. And I think in some places that happens because, you know, I have to sound professional in my prayer. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? Because that can help put us in a respectful state that can kind of add something to the prayer and to our approach to the prayer. But I think the danger is that now we think when we pray it has to sound like that. And it doesn't. It can just be very conversational. It doesn't have to flow. You don't have to speak in complete sentences, right? It's just, you just go to God in prayer. And if you don't quite make sense, if you don't sound coherent, well, he's God. He can figure it out, right? He's smart enough. He gets it. He knows what you mean. He knows what you need. And even if you look, our highest example of prayer is the Lord's Prayer. When the disciples ask Jesus, teach us how to pray, and he says, Father, hallowed be your name. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Like, these aren't long, eloquent things. These are, here's what we need. Forgive us. Give us what we need. We praise you. Like, you're awesome. Help us to live like we should. Like, they're very short, choppy, to the point things, right? That's our example for prayer. And this is the same. Jesus is the same guy who he says, like, don't be like the Pharisees who just add meaningless phrase on top of meaningless phrase so people think they sound good when they pray. Prayer doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to sound fancy. And this is a bit of a tangent from where we started in Article 21 of the Apology to the Augsburg Confession, but pray in whatever way is comfortable for you, and God will hear you. That's his promise. If you have comments, if you have questions, if you have concerns, go ahead and drop them below. With that, brothers and sisters, go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.